Don't know really if there's anything else to show, but it's a dairy. I reckon across the whole farm we had about 100 trees fall over. Righto, pull the trigger, let's go into dairying. So we did. It does a full circle of all this stuff that we can see here. Unfortunately, it's not the world's best neighbour. I know there's some relatives that watch the YouTube and they wouldn't be a fan of that. But it's just very untapped. There's probably a Tassie tiger up there for all I know. I figured I'm always moving when I say good morning, so I'm going to sit here and say good morning, everyone and anyone that's watching. I hope you can see the cows are in the background there. This is me sitting on the deck in the looking down the front paddock. It's probably the most favourite time is when we got cows in the front paddock. You can see them from the kitchen window. It's great. So today, it's pretty obvious by the title, going to do a farm tour. Been meaning to do this forever and a day, however many 18 months or whatever I've been recording things. Always been meaning to do it, but always had that sort of bit stopping the fact that, oh, it's not pretty enough at the moment, or there's not enough grass around, there's not this, there's not that, this is a mess, that's a mess, that is not finished. I've decided, like, just don't worry about that, because in 5 years time or a year's time you can do another one to see how it all looks in comparison, like a different time of year, whatever else. I'm just doing it now. We'll call this like August, September, which is sort of like winter to spring for us in the southern hemisphere here. Don't know what to. Early spring, mid calving. It's not overly tidy at the moment because it's just get whatever you can get done. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Let's go for a look around and let's talk about the farm tour. Arbroath Farm. Lucky enough that Fonterra, who we supply milk to, made us that little sign. It says Arbroath Farm. So it's going to be a little bit of family history as well as the farm tour. But Arbroath Farm, it's called that because my great grandfather came here in 1870, bought this farm. We've got the deed inside actually, which is pretty cool. It was all just trees. He felled everything. I think it was 105 acres, the original block. Now we've just sort of bought little pieces to make it up to about 250 acres. Sorry, I'm rambling, but not the part that I wanted to ramble on about. In fact, why is it called Arbroath Farm? It's because that's the original town that he grew up in, James Cable's, back in Scotland, of Arbroath. He decided to name the farm from the place where he grew up, I guess. So obviously behind us, that is the house that we now reside. That house has had 3 generations in it, I think. 4. Yeah, so it was built around 1905 or something. The original house is over yonder. These great big sheds here are all thanks to Dad. So thanks Pete for that. Definitely built as machinery sheds. And now they're housing about 140 calves at the moment. As well as just a little bit of machinery on the side there. And the most recent one is the dairy. For those that have been following along, probably pretty well versed in the dairy. It's about 12 months old now. The dairy's not real clean at the moment. Yeah, it's a bit dark too. But so it is a 24-side double up, automatic cup removers, and all this stuff in here is all second hand. All the steel work, lights and electrical and concrete, that is all new, but a lot of the running gear that runs the dairy is actually second hand, which made it a fair bit cheaper. I'm sort of planning the next few videos, if I could get some time, to do a bit of a breakdown in costs on actually how much this all cost us to build. So hang out for that one. Don't know really if there's anything else to show, but it's a dairy. And currently milking, we'll hope to milk this season, 250 cows. I think when I do the cost breakdown, I might do another bit more of a detailed tour of the dairy. What just show you this. Everything that leaves the dairy goes through the stone trap. So it'll go through a weeping wall over there, and then an orange topped pump, which will then pump it over to the dams over there. Effluent dams. So the first one is I guess you call it the solids or the primary or the first, whatever. And then it goes into what we call our winter storage or our storage. That storage is big enough for 9 months, I think it is. It's a really long time. So it's 1 meg, and I think that's 6 megs over there. Milking for 13, 14 months now, and we still haven't touched it yet. So it's taken well over 12 months to fill. We pretty recently grazed this paddock for the first time. We've put an Italian in here. Italian or an annual, something like that, just for a few years. And then this paddock here, the Italian, it's looking pretty good. Got some pretty good covers going at the moment, which is nice leading into or coming out of winter. It's just such a struggle to get it going. There's one thing that we did this year, and that was the middle of July, so sort of that peak winter period. We went out and sprayed a heap of Pro-Gib and our thistle spray, which is 2,4-D. Now Pro-Gib is a gibberellic acid, sort of a growth hormone, and we applied it to a lot of our pastures that I knew that we were going to be getting onto in a month to 6 weeks time. And this will be tomorrow's block here, and yeah, it's made such a difference. Like, it's just great cover. Just going through there, for anyone that doesn't know, that's the Don River. It starts only a few k up that way further, and goes all the way through about 30 kilometres through out to Devonport. To the sea. As you can see, this laneway is a disgrace. Hoping that next season we can get it gravelled up and looking schmick. So in a minute we'll go up to the top of the hill where we can sort of see everything else a little bit easier. But I thought just while we're down here, have a bit of a pan across. So that's the pivot. That was our first and only pivot so far. It's doing about 20 hectares. It does a full circle of all this stuff that we can see here. Just there you can see a bit of mud and everything else. That is a sacrificial paddock that we had. Plan on spraying that off soon, and I reckon that'll go into turnips. Hopefully provide a bit of feed that early to midsummer, something along those lines anyway. This block was our latest purchase. It was a few years ago now, but it was enough for us to obviously put the pivot on. It was a perfect site for just one sort of circle. It gave us somewhere to put our effluent dams and gave us enough scope to go, righto, pull the trigger, let's go into dairying. So we did. Most paddocks, all bar, I think there's 3 paddocks that are 4 hectare paddocks, but all the rest are sort of around that 1.8 to 2.2 hectare paddocks, which is just a sort of that ideal size for size of herd that we've got at the moment. And every single paddock has at least one trough. We might, yeah, we'll see how we go. I'd love to put more than just one trough, like one at each end, one at the start and one at the edge of a paddock or end of a paddock. But we'll see. It's a lot of work and a lot of time and money. And for anyone that cares, that is a gateway for the pivot wheel to go through. Lucky enough with dairy cows, you don't need anything too substantial. I know guys with sheep, they've got big rubber mats or they've got gates, and that's quite a effective and simple way of doing it. Just these 2 electric sort of rods that hang out, and then the wheel pushes through them, and works brilliantly. Love them. The Don River. Now, as you can see over there, that's where the dairy is. And before we had the dairy there, these stockyards were over there, and that was worked really well over there. But now we've set them over here, and this just happens to be where the original house was. The ones that back in 1870 odd, they built a house, yeah, over here. So you can actually, I don't know if you can see, these rocks all sort of lined up. Would have been a house on a stone foundation, which is what our house is too, because there's plenty of stone around here. And this is actually where it was. So for reference, the house is probably, I don't know, 150 metres away. The start there, built it on another stony knob. And this old tree here apparently was planted, it's an old laurel tree. Don't see too many of them around apparently, but it's just spread and conquered. It would have started off as a wee little thing, and yeah, I don't know how the story goes, but it went along the lines of that, yeah, someone planted it at the back of the house, and it's still here today, which is great. So I don't think I can get rid of that tree anytime soon. I know there's some relatives that watch the YouTube, and they wouldn't be a fan of that. Oh, that wind is so cold. I better talk about these couple of mobs that we've got. That mob over there, the Springer mob, they're the ones that are springing up and looking like they're about to calve. We've got the colostrum mob there. They're the ones that have recently calved within the last, say, 5 to 7 days, and within. So we've just put new ones in there too that have only just calved today. And maybe one day when I do a spring one, it'll be just one mob. Instead of, it was 5 and now it's 4 mobs. There's no longer a late mob, it's just a dry mob, if you're following. Paddock 15 is just all hill. We do have 40 odd paddocks, I think. Yeah, I think it's about that. So this isn't the highest point of the farm just yet, but it is a sort of a vantage point where we can see most of everything. So if I can do it justice, that fence line there goes all the way through to, there's a tree, big, well, 2 trees, big eucalyptus trees. We go all the way along there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pegs across to the road, and then there's a plantation that we lease, and then the road goes down, and that essentially that road is our boundary. So we go down there, got a couple of sheds, there's hay, and there's a bit of Dad's machinery, a bit of dairy, secondhand stuff. Yeah, so there's that. Pan across, obviously that's our house, sheds, dairy, the cows, laneway down, and then we go, so a couple of pegs across, and then fence line down along there, and we sort of just dogleg just around there, probably about 50 meters, and then we go up through to where it looks a little bit dead. That's actually the neighbors up there on that top corner, and so we go back down and around like that to the road, and that's that sort of recent block that we bought, 70 acres, and that was boundaried by the river there. So that's roughly what we're looking at sort of at the front of the farm, I guess you'd say. Yeah, essentially boundaried by roads up until a point where there's sort of 2 sets of neighbours just up there, where we can go to. Still pretty good. It's not the top, but it's pretty good view still, and you can see probably Sheffield a bit easier from out here. We're only about, what is it? It must be about 4 kilometres on the road, about how far we are away. Down at our house we can't see or anything here, Sheffield, the township, at all. It's quite nice to see a bit of grass on top of this hill actually. Waving. Good. The trickiest part about these hills is to try and get the grass to grow on the steepest of stuff. Like up on top here, it looks really good, and then down here, going across, there's a fair old lane, and we've gone from like 3,000 kilograms of dry matter up there down to here, which has probably got 2,000, about a third less. And just the fact that it's just so steep and it's hard to keep nutrients going or positioned in the one spot. Stay here. And here are the milkers. They're only 2 hours away from coming back down to get milked for the afternoon. All right, this is definitely the top. This is the top of the farm. There's probably a few other places just as high as this around the area. Jeremy and Jenna Jacopek, that's their farm over there, Lone Pine. See, denoted by this massive big tree that you can see from kilometres away. Now we go to that fence line just at the end of the laneway there where we turn. That's our boundary also, and it keeps going probably another, what would it be, about 800 metres into that bushland. So a lot of that just native bush. We've got stringy bark, white gum, wattles, blackwoods, dogwoods, all those sorts of little timbers in there, and that's about 40 acres in there. And then we've got a neighbour down there. That was actually my grandmother's place. When my grandfather and grandmother split up, that was her little piece of it. It's no longer owned by us, unfortunately. He's not the world's best neighbour. You can see, yeah, we go down there. So it's sort of like this big, like long farm, and then we sort of dogleg out across over onto that road there on the other side. It's such a windy, cold day. And yeah, as you can see, our water troughs, which originate from this water tank. What we do is we've got a pump down near the dairy, and it'll pump all the way up about 80 metres high, 80 metres of head. It'll lift up to this tank, and then it'll be just gravity fed to the rest of the troughs. And those troughs down there, including those troughs all the way down there underneath the pivot. That's the stock water. And you can also see that little bit of a orange and white. That's an irrigation hydrant. Now that's for our hard hoses, and we can set up for those. And all that irrigation water is from up here, is pumped from the bush where there's a couple of dams. So we've made our way towards, I guess, the start of the bush. Now that's a bit of a gravel heap that we've got. We're very, very fortunate that we've got our own, I guess, quarry, I guess you could call it, that we can use for laneways. So all the laneways that we've done so far have all been from our own gravel, which has been a huge cost saving for us, huge. Some of the dry mob that I assume are calving a little bit later than everyone else. Don't know why they're in this little piece here, shouldn't be in here. And over there is the milkers that we pointed out earlier. We head towards the bush, and I'll just show you roughly what that looks like. This is the bush. This is the dam. Dad built this with some people as well. He built this back early 2000s, so it's almost 25 years old now. This can't really remember. I can remember it being built. Yeah, Dad had his old Inter-Acco ferrying around a lot of debris, gravel and sort of stuff. So this dam's about 15 meg, and it just solely fills on runoff. And there's a pipe underneath it that will fill our irrigating dam up, that we can irrigate to all those hydrants that we pointed out earlier. We've got a random pine in here somehow, wattle, yeah, some eucalyptus. I'd say they're all white gum. A lot of the big ones are stringy bark. Unfortunately, about 3 or 4 years ago now, there was a really bad windstorm that came through and flattened heaps of trees. I reckon across the whole farm we had about 100 trees fall over. that, and they're all really some of the biggest trees that we had. That wasn't good that time. That really wasn't. Oh, and those pines that you can see on the other side there, that is actually a boundary. That is the neighbour's place, a different neighbour again. So our dam goes right up to that fence line. Oh, it all looks a bit murky down here. This is so this is down a little bit further. That dam that we just pointed out before was just over that way, probably up probably 10 meters, I guess, down to this one here, which is our irrigation dam that we can irrigate out of. And just over the other side of that little wall there is the White Hawk Creek, and that we can also access that for water during the winter period, and then in summer we can access water, part of a farmer-owned water scheme with the up the back there, and that services about 7 entitlements to that. So yeah, it's quite a handy bit of a dam too. I think it's about 130 megs. This dam here is probably only lucky to be 5 or 6 megs, so it's quite a small dam, so we've always got to be trickling in water for it. That's the pump, and that's the way it's got to go, up that way. I seem to remember starting this pump when I was about 12 years old, so I'm now 37, so it's about 25 years old at least. It was probably before that too that it was around. Been kicking pretty well since then. It's good. Because it's so wet, I won't really be able to get sort of near it, but the bush sort of continues. This is probably only halfway into it. It continues up that way quite a way, and it gets steep, and just there's probably areas of that no one's ever seen. I know Dad, my pop, he would never have seen there. Generations before, maybe, but it's just very untapped. There's probably a Tassie tiger up there for all I know. It's quite a peaceful spot, really. At the moment it's really windy, like I've said however many dozen times, and down here at the dam, like, you can hardly feel any of the wind at all. But you can see it all up in the trees there. And yes, I think there are fish in there. Yep, trout, probably brown and rainbow trout, I reckon. Not that I've ever caught any. During the summertime, when all the little bugs are sort of flying on top, you'll see a lot of the fish jump. They're probably pretty common everywhere, but I thought I might just point out big old man fern. Yeah, that's what it's called, a man fern. Got a few little pockets of these, usually where it's really wet. It's almost like it's a bit peaty sort of soil around here. Yeah, man fern. As well as everything else that's in here, man fern. I guess this can almost round up the tour. But yeah, this is where I was sort of pointing out before. It sort of gets a bit wider out, and we just sort of follow the road along. They've got these massive big troughs in here that have absolutely no water. I haven't got around to plumbing them in yet because I haven't run the water line to them. I've gone for a 7-foot trough this time. It's significantly bigger than the 6-foot ones that we typically use, because, don't quote me, I am saying this, but don't quote me. I think the 6-foot trough, 6 foot wide, holds 1,200 litres. 7-foot trough holds 2,200 litres. Something along those lines. Anyways, it's significantly more for just 1 extra foot, and for another like $50. Couldn't go past it. So that's it. That's the farm tour. I just thought I'd round out and talk about the hectare side of things. I think it actually works out, because I've spoken everything in acres, but it works out about 99.5 hectares that we own. It's not quite 100 hectares, so it's not quite 250 acres, but it's pretty close. Oh, and I should also mention that effective grazing area isn't obviously that 99.5 hectares. I think actual paddocks that we can graze, it works out to be about 77 hectares. So that's what we're farming essentially off, 77 hectares for our 250 cows. So our stocking rate's pretty, it must be around that sort of 3 mark, if not a little bit more. So that'll do for late winter, early spring farm tour. I hope you've got something out of it, and maybe in a few years' time, when a few other changes have occurred, we might do another one, and maybe a different time of year too, like at the end of summer or something when it's really dry and we can really see the importance of irrigation or lack thereof. Thanks guys for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye.